In the 21st century, America stands as a global superpower. Its economy vast, its military unmatched, and its influence stretching across continents. From Wall Street's towering skyscrapers to Silicon Valley's technological dominance, the United States thrives as the epicenter of global wealth. But behind this prosperity lies a truth often ignored. War has been one of America's greatest investments. For over a century, conflicts around the world have fueled American industries, from weapons manufacturing to oil monopolies, from private military contracts to post-war reconstruction deals. Every war has come at a cost, millions of lives lost, nations destroyed. But for America, war has often meant economic expansion. While soldiers fight on the front lines, corporations sign billion-dollar deals. While cities crumble under airstrikes, stock markets rise. This documentary unveils the hidden mechanisms of America's war economy. How conflicts are not just fought, but orchestrated. How destruction paves the way for profit, and how the business of war has shaped the modern American empire. Is America truly fighting for peace, or is war its most profitable industry? The answer lies in history, in numbers, and in the voices of those who have witnessed both the devastation and the wealth it creates. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, America was transforming into an industrial powerhouse. The economy was booming, driven by rapid industrialization, technological advancements, and a surge in immigration that provided cheap labor. Factories roared with production, railroads expanded across the nation, and cities swelled with workers chasing the promise of prosperity. At the heart of this growth was capitalism in its rawest form. Monopolies controlled entire industries from steel to oil, while banking giants like J.P. Morgan shaped the financial landscape. The gap between the rich and the poor widened, but for the elite, this was the golden age of American wealth. However, despite the economic expansion, America remained largely isolationist, avoiding major global conflicts. But as war clouds gathered over Europe in 1914, a new opportunity arose, one that would change America's economic fate forever. The war that would devastate nations became a turning point, pulling the United States out of isolation and into the business of global conflict. America's economy experienced significant growth during both World War I, 1914 to 1918, and World War II, 1939 to 1945. These wars transformed the U.S. into the world's leading economic superpower. During the war, U.S. industrial production increased rapidly. In 1914, the U.S. GDP was around $40 billion, which grew to $68 billion by 1918. In 1936, U.S. GDP was $88.6 billion. At the end of the Second World War, U.S. GDP increased to $288 billion. Unemployment rate in U.S. before World War I was 14.2%. At the time of First World War, it reduced to 2%, and at the time of Second World War, it was 1.2%. 11th of March 1941, America passed the important act which called Land-Lease Act, which allow America to supply weapons to Allied forces. Under Land-Lease Act, U.S. supplied weapons to China by $1.6 billion, France by $3.2 billion, Russia by $11.3 billion, and Britain by $50.1 billion. Before the World War I, America had gold reserve of around 1,900 metric ton of worth $1.90 billion. After the World War I, America had gold reserves of 3,800 metric tons of worth $3.8 billion. It was the 50% of the world's gold reserves. After the Second World War, America had 20,000 metric ton gold of worth $20 billion. It was 75% of world's gold reserves. But war is a war. Humanity always pays a huge price for a war. As per the records, in World War I, approximately 20 million people lost their lives. And in World War II, total global deaths were 80 million. The scars of war take centuries to fade, but the grief of losing loved ones remains unhealed for a lifetime. After World War II, America emerged not just as a victorious nation, but as the world's leading superpower. One of the most significant leaders in this era was Dwight D. Eisenhower. As a five-star general, he had already played a decisive role in World War II, leading the Allied forces to victory in Europe. But his contributions didn't end there. As the 34th President of the United States, Eisenhower strengthened America's position as a global power. Domestically, he boosted infrastructure with the interstate highway system and boosted the military industry complex for strengthening the economy. In 1974, the President Nixon struck a deal with King of Saudi Arabia. In exchange for U.S. military protection and economic support, Saudi Arabia agreed to sell its oil to the rest of the world exclusively in U.S. dollars. Soon, other OPEC nations followed, making the dollar the primary currency for global oil trade. This petrodollar deal was the turning point in the history of America to make more economical powerful. This system created an artificial demand for the U.S. dollar, as countries worldwide had to hold large reserves of dollars to buy oil. In return, much of this wealth flowed back into U.S. financial markets, strengthening its economy. For decades, the United States has maintained its dominance, both economically and militarily, shaping global affairs on its own terms. However, the rise of China and Russia as economic powerhouses has begun to challenge America's supremacy. Their growing influence, along with shifting global alliances, is altering the balance of power. President Donald Trump recognized the threats of the changing world order and sought to eliminate competition against the U.S. dollar. His administration pushed for policies that protected American economic interests and countered the rise of alternative financial systems. Today, America's biggest challenge comes from BRICS nations, a powerful bloc consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which aims to reduce dependence on the dollar and reshape the global economic structure. This shift threatens the financial backbone of U.S. influence. Despite these challenges, the American economy still thrives on one of its strongest exports, weapons. The defense industry plays a crucial role in sustaining U.S. economic power, as military alliances and arms sales continue to fuel its global reach. As the world moves towards a new era of geopolitical and economic competition, the question remains, will America retain its dominance, or will the rise of new powers rewrite history? As citizens of India, we do not believe in war, we believe in peace. Our vision for the world is one of harmony, where nations thrive together, not at the cost of one another. For us, the world is not divided by borders. It is a global family, a belief deeply rooted in our philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. We stand for cooperation, not conflict, for unity, not division. Our motto is clear, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, collective progress for all. Because only when we rise together can we build a future that is truly prosperous, peaceful, and just for all of humanity. आपके एक सब्सक्राइब से किसी एक बेघर बच्चे की जिंदगी बदल सकती है। कृपया करके वीडियो को शेयर करें, लाइक करें।